Hey everyone, we are here today with an exciting first of its kind announcement of a new partnership that will, we believe, meaningfully disrupt the analyst industry. Excited to be here today with Godard Abel. He's the co-founder and CEO of G2 to announce this partnership. Godard, I want to thank you so much for taking a little time today. First of all, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I'm in the mountains of Colorado, and I'm so excited, Daniel, to be partnering with Futurum, bringing all of our G2 data and insights into your Futurum intelligence platform. And what we're seeing at G2 on our software marketplace, there's just so much innovation and interest from enterprise buyers right now in AI. And everyone's trying to figure out what's their best AI strategy. And so I think together we can much better inform enterprise buyers on, where's the puck going in AI, because there's so much noise. And just on G2 in the last 2 years, since the big ChatGPT 3.5, we've added 41 new AI software categories. There's 3,800 new AI first products, which is all really exciting, but it's also creating confusion in the market. Enterprise buyers, enterprise CIOs, CTOs, CEOs, they're not sure which AI they can trust and which AI is going to win in 2 years. And that's why I'm so excited, Daniel, to partner with you in Futurum to advise enterprise buyers as well as enterprise vendors on, what's going to win in the age of AI.
Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't be more excited about the partnership. We've long seen a gap, voice of customer, vendor preference, market and momentum. And of course, AI has created this unparalleled pace of disruption inside of businesses, CEOs, boards, CIOs, all trying to navigate the rapid transition, the rapid transformation. And they're looking for insights from analyst firms like Futurum. They're looking for the data, the rich data that comes from platforms like G2's. And hopefully, the aspirational goal of working together is to bring all that data, all that voice of customer, all that categorical insight that you have, pair it up with our market and decision-making data, our analysis, and of course, the broad reach that we have, thousands of appearances on media and on television, and of course, the relationships we have in the vendor community, and help these customers, these buyers make the decision. And by the way, not just making decisions based on historical data, which I think is really what, and we'll talk more about this, the industry has long done, but really giving that insight and using this data plus AI to come together and paint the picture of what is going to come from, come in the future. So you sort of alluded to this a little bit, but like you and I as CEOs, this isn't only a problem we're trying to help for other enterprises. This is a problem that we are trying to deal with in our own businesses. We've spent the last multiple years building a new platform from the ground up to try to serve this need. You've been building this platform for many years. AI has clearly been disrupted, but just give me a little bit in your mind of the market dynamics about why now is such a good time to sort of pair up what we're doing and what you're doing over at G2.
Yeah, and I think, Daniel, you said it well. G2, we really aim to be the trusted source of data, especially around customer voice and feedback. And so G2, we have well over 3 million reviews. And we're gaining more and more reviews, real user, real customer feedback now on enterprise AI software. And so, for example, as companies like Salesforce are launching Agentforce, or ServiceNow is launching its AI agent platform, what other business leaders, CEOs, CIOs want to know, which of these new AI platforms really work. So we're also gathering thousands and millions of data points on AI. And I think the most exciting thing overall in the feedback we're getting from users, overall AI does work. So over half of G2 reviewers of AI software, they're reporting over 50% productivity gains in the most common use cases, such as customer service, case automation with AI agents, coding assistance, writing assistance. And I think you're right, Daniel. What's exciting, not only are we seeing millions of G2 reviewers report this productivity so we can bring it to many more companies, but also we can apply it internally as CEOs. So we're also automating our own customer service. We're using coding assistants. And I think any company now with knowledge workers can really boost that productivity. And I think what is so key about our partnership, like I said, we're more focused on data, but I think also having the Futurum experts, analysts contextualize the data, turn it into strategies for your clients. I think together we can really disrupt the legacy, because I think the legacy providers in our space, they tend to publish research every 2 years. And frankly, when they publish it, it already tends to be a year old because it's kind of based on some manual vendor surveys. Whereas I think together, we can give you the real time data. We have momentum data. And then, Daniel, you and your Futurum analyst experts can contextualize it and turn it into future strategies for our joint clients. And so, really couldn't be more excited to help lead the world into the age of AI with the combination of our trusted data and your trusted analyst expert guidance so that we can really help all companies win in the age of AI.
Yeah, I love how you talked about the legacy versus the future. If you think about it, there was like these digital transformations that went on, whether it was, social, mobile, local, analytics, all the different things that happened over the last couple of decades. And if you were a CEO, if you're a board or even a CIO, you had years to sort of work on things. They spent a decade plus working on big data. Now, some of the reason AI has been hard is that big data effort didn't completely materialize to having the data prepared and ready. But the insights that you have at G2 from having, millions of reviews, thousands topically, and the fact that these decision makers inside of companies can look to others, their peers in related industries with similar company sizes, and see, was the story being told by vendor A really as good as that story? Or was it hard? How quickly are you getting time to value? All these things together become even more critical when now decision-making times go down to months, quarters at best, where new technology is coming out so quickly. And you're not only making a decision on, hey, this looks like the best product right now. You have to pick a vendor based on their roadmap, based on how well they understand the problem they're trying to solve, and how well that aligns to what your business is going to need. So let's lean into that a little bit. You sort of, I think we both agree that legacy and just the way this has been done is not effective anymore. It doesn't work. It needs to be disrupted. It needs to be done more real time. Our evaluations, we will work to make them dynamic, just like you do in terms of your reviews, constantly being updated. But what are some of the other challenges that you see both G2 solving right now with how it's approaching AI and approaching its platform, and then, of course, our combined effort that we're going to be bringing to market?
Yeah, and I think, Daniel, you make a great point. I think decision timeframes are really collapsing and accelerating because there are so many disruptors emerging. And you might have seen Lovable. It's like the hottest, newest AI coding assistant. And I think they've gone from 0 to well over 100 million ARR in just 6 months. And I think our investors, Excel, just made a massive big bet on them. So disruption is happening so fast. And let's say in the coding space, you probably remember GitHub from Microsoft, obviously great platform, very successful. We use it. But I think, they had the first mover advantage with Copilot and many developers adopting it. But now all these new startups, Lovable, et cetera, have emerged and are winning even faster. And I think what that means for CEOs now in any industry, you do have to make an AI strategy decision faster. You can't wait to see how the market plays out because by then you may actually be disrupted. And so I do think that also requires and creates a need for executives to have more real-time information. And as you said, more predictive information, because also none of this AI is fully baked. We all know it still hallucinates. It's not perfect and it's not so easy. You can't just turn it on and get the automation and productivity you need. You need expert guidance and you need a partner, right? You want a vendor with the right roadmap and you really want to know in 2 years what's going to be both the best AI technology, but as you also said, how's that going to support my business strategy as it evolves? And so I think future-looking insights, from Futurum with real-time V2 data. And I think we all know AI is actually the ultimate prediction machine. Actually, a great book, right? With AI, you can actually better predict the future, but it only works if you have real-time data. And I think even in the book Prediction Machines, it also says what's missing in AI is judgment. And I think that's what humans still have to do. We have to provide judgment, especially as executives. And I think what executives need now in the age of AI, they need real-time data. They also need future guidance, strategic guidance, so they can make the best judgments and they can formulate the right strategy and execute it really fast. And so it's such an exciting time in the industry. But I do think that's why a partnership is so timely, because executives need real-time data. They need real-time guidance so they can guide their companies into the future.
Yeah, predicting the future. I love it. We are going to work together, all that data. And of course, we do a lot of market surveys. We talk to a lot of decision makers, but I want to be really clear. And this is something why we were so emphatic that G2 was the only partner for us in this, is that there are really few, if any, and you are the best in terms of companies that have real voice of customer data. You know, you hear a lot in our industry anecdotally. You'll hear analysts and pundits, oh, I've done channel checks. Oh, we talk to customers, but it's like, what is your N of 1, N of 5? You know, you really do need enough volume and you need to make AI work. And anybody out there that's used a model knows it is trillions. You hear about parameters in the billions and trillions. And the reason is because to make these things work well, to truly understand and then become a real high value prediction machine, you need enough data. So it is taking the amalgamation, all this data that you bring, all the data points that we have, all the experience that we have, the conversations that our team have with the CEOs and the leaders of these companies, and of course, the CIOs and the ITDMs that you and we talk to, put it all together to really add a ton of value back to the customers. So we couldn't be more thrilled. We, of course, work with many vendors. We work with the customers themselves. And of course, we also serve the markets. And we think this will be some of the most important, you said judgment, some of the most important analysis by putting this all together. And then, of course, using AI, using technology, using tools to make it very easy and rapid ingestion for people. Because in the end, ultimately, we do think the agents and the machines might help us make a lot of these decisions. But people like you and me that are leading companies are the ones that kind of put our final finger on the button most of the time and say, buy this, implement this, hire that person. And even as AI keeps getting better, I do think that judgment will continue to be an incredible differentiator. So, you know, just in the end, before we set off into the sunset and this partnership starts to really make a big difference. Give me one or two things in your mind, the value for G2 customers of, you know, them continuing to, the work you're continuing to do and how maybe what we're going to co-create, you think could ultimately enable G2 to not only be the leader, but maintain your position in such a rapidly changing environment.
Yeah, and I do think with G2, it is about having the most current data and having richer data in the age of AI so we can make better predictions together. And one of the most exciting innovations for G2, we acquired a startup called Unsurvey, and it's bringing a voice conversational review interview capability. And what Unsurvey built, they're really market research expert agents. And so now rather than software reviewers just having to fill in the web form, which of course they can still do, they can actually have a conversation with a smart agent that asks them questions about the technology they're using and how they're using AI, how they're driving automation. And we're seeing with our AI first reviews at G2, they gather about 3.5 times more data. And it's pretty obvious actually in hindsight because nobody likes typing and filling in forms. But now you can just have a conversation with an agent that might ask you, hey, how are you using Salesforce CRM? How are you using Agentforce? How are you using the Now platform to drive your AI workflow automations? And you can just have a very natural conversation with an agent when you're a CIO. And we're finding that just creates much more rich data, much more unstructured data, which then is all the fuel for us together to draw insights. And I do think in AI, people really want peer insights. You said this, because there's so much hype around AI. And at the end of the day, who we really trust, Daniel, is like you and I, we probably talk to peer CEOs, entrepreneurs before we make a big decision. And I think CIOs, CTOs want the same thing. They want to hear from peers in similar industries, similar companies, what's really working. And I think with AI first conversational reviews, we can actually provide much more data, which will fuel our partnership. And so I think that's just one of the massive opportunities, how we can keep innovating and provide even more data. So together we can really predict the future and help our clients, help executives make better judgments, better decisions. And I think you're exactly right. That's still going to be up to the humans. Executive leaders, they're going to be informed by agents. They're going to be informed by data. They're going to be informed by advisors and by experts, but they still have to make the call. And I think together, Futurum and G2 can help executives make better decisions than ever and fast decisions so they can win in the age of AI.
Yeah, I'm incredibly bullish on the partnership. What you said about voice, couldn't agree more. Just the level of depth and detail that you get out of a conversation and someone's willingness to share versus having to input. We've built our platform to enable our analysts to be able to prompt the engine correctly. It will use all the data you have and all the other proprietary data, then all the open source data, all the, filings that are on the market and in the market to be able to come together and put a hypothesis together. And of course, that final touch will always be from the judgment and insights that come from a highly skilled analyst. But it's all about scale, creating speed, getting better data, and then of course, helping people make better decisions, which I'm confident, Godard, that between our two firms and what we're doing, we're going to be doing a lot of that for the customers into the future. So I'm really excited to, continue working with you. This is going to be a multi-year effort. It's going to have exclusivity in the evaluation part of what we're doing together. You're going to keep bringing the data. We're not competing in any way there. And then we're going to work together to bring those great insights, great judgments. And that, I think, will change the game, which is what we set out to do when our two firms got together. So I couldn't be more excited, couldn't be more proud. What a great organization you've built. And congratulations on all the success. We look forward to leveraging the great work of G2 and the community that you've built to power the Futurum of our organization. I did say that. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Check out more about what we're doing. There's going to be more announcements coming from us on some new products and new services and new evaluative assets that you as buyers and decision makers and vendors can all gain a lot of insights from. But for this conversation, I'm going to sign off for now. Godard, thank you so much. So excited to work with you.